Salutations! Time for another anime deathmatch with your host, Boshi-san. Yes, you can't see the hat, but it's me, I swear. 2 anime enter the arena, but there can be only 1 victor. The rules are simple. 6 categories. Hero, villain, plot, soundtrack, animation, 1 point each. The last category is worth 2 points, the ever-shifting, flux-worthy X Factor. Enter the arena, worthy rivals. In this corner, Satoshi Dazaki's 1986 dystopian gunblazer Grey Digital Target. And in that corner, a youngster with a blade on his hip and adventure in his eye, Koichi Chigura's 2006 Brave Story. 20 years. Enough time to dull your edge, or sharpen your aim. Alright, let's size up the heroes. It's Soldier Grey versus Traveler Wataru Matani. Stamina, unstoppable. Special skills, survivor. Courage, unquenchable. So at first, Grey earns his nickname Grey Death. But that's not from his enemies, that's what his fellow soldiers call him. He dies for no one, you die for him. All that bravado aside, there's a deeper motivation beneath that macho exterior. His loyalty to a dead lover drives him to be the best he can be. Actually enjoying his promotions means very little to him, and when he finds out the truth behind his war, the whole system is going to pay. But Wataru? Stamina, barely average. Special skills? 0. Courage? Pathetic. Not exactly leading man material, which is why he enters the world of Vision as merely a hero apprentice. He is, however, the ideal candidate for a hero's journey. Beset by the illness of his mother and the breakup of his family, he blunders into a world offering him a single wish granted if he can overcome its trials. He's likable enough and earnest to do good. Unlike Grey, he draws people to him. But like Grey, betraying him is unwise. So who wins? Much as Wataru is likable, he's also bland. His passage into maturity may be the arc of the story, and require its own bravery, but ultimately, that's all he really has. Instead of being a unique character engaged in a hero's journey, he's the journey personified. This round goes to Grey. While he might seem just a personification of action and stoicism, the flashes of backstory show that he began lower class, his lover Lips. Yes, her name is Lips. Being the one dedicated to bettering her lot as a soldier. Her death spurred him into taking up her burden, and it's the sense of loyalty, abrasive and stoic as it seems, that grants him the drive to become the killing machine he is. Yet he doesn't take orders blindly, questioning them more and more as the world turns upside down. There's enough brainless macho heroes in the world, but the Grey Death is no MD Geist. When the whole world's killer robots are after me, I want the Grey Death in my corner. Not struggling Wataru, no matter how much I might root for the little guy. Oh, dastardly deeds done dirt cheap. Who are our villains? It's the other towns? No, it's the Resistance. No, Lara. No, Red. No, Big Mama. Heck, it's some dystopian nightmare versus Mitsuru Ishikawa, the half-pint wizard. When you get someone as lean and mean as the Grey Death, you need villains of his caliber. At first this looks like the other town forces, undefined soldiers from faraway towns who fight it out in the wasteland. But no, it's the Resistance, a vague rebel force who scavenges and wants nothing to do with the town. Except no, they actually have a huge flying citadel. Grey's mentor Red is their cyborg commander, and the ruthless Lara is their messiah. No, that's not it either. It's really a super powerful world-controlling computer, Big Mama. With Brave Story, it's a good deal simpler. Mitsuru Ashikawa is another 11-year-old obsessed with having his wish granted in the world of Vision. But unlike his fellow traveler Wataru, he has no intention of letting anything stand in his way. He has one goal, the wish, and he's willing to play the hero when it suits him and let the world vanish into darkness when it doesn't. Only his desire is real, not the secondary fantasy world he travels. So who wins? What hampers Grey is not a paucity of villains. He has loads to explode, but that sheer number can lead the audience to have no real connection with any of them. The conspiracy discoveries is grand, so far-reaching that it's less a hero versus villain struggle, and more a deadly fight against nature, a nature ordered by circuitry, ruling over deserts and parched towns. You get all of 5 minutes to connect with one adversary before another takes its place. Sure, Brave Story has Omba the Frog Goddess, and hints at the inherent cruelty of the Goddess of Fortune, but there's no doubt who the film's chief antagonist is. Mitsuru not only provides a consistent narrative thread stitching together a picaresque story, he's there from start to finish, but vies with Wataru in suffering. And once it's revealed, his motivation makes him a far more compelling character to watch than any cyborg or robot facing Grey. More compelling than Wataru even, really. There's no doubt, Mitsuru is one of anime's more interesting Darth Vaders. Best plot! What grabs you best, the dystopian conspiracy of Grey Digital Target or the hero's journey of Brave Story? On its surface, Grey's plot seems pretty straightforward. He shoots things, they shoot back, and he must fight his way against ever-increasing odds in an apocalyptic wasteland. But underneath that is manipulation to rival the Matrix, and the plot layers revelation upon revelation, true apocalypse, and drives him to stand against lies and demand no more. It's the kind of simple but needed inspiration for liberty that science fiction does so well. Wataru's story appears equally simplistic. His story is nearly a paint-by-numbers Campbellian odyssey. Hearing and heeding the call, he meets a sage, the trickster, and guardians, and the whole host of Campbell regulars. He sets out to rescue himself and encounters an entire world in need of a hero. So who wins? Well, I confess I told a little fib. See, Brave Story is not actually centered on the typical hero's journey. The journey functions more as a subplot to conceal the real journey. Sure, he's traveling towards maturity, but the outside journey masks the inner journey. It's not about overcoming external obstacles. The real antagonist of the hero, like ultimately the downfall for Mitsuri, is himself. And overcoming his own desires, as Mitsuri does not, is the real pivot of the plot. This complexity and subversion grants the hero's journey victory over dystopian conspiracy. At least, this time. Tune in years, kids. Let's argue soundtrack. Who's on top, the 80s synth rock of the future or the pop-infused fantasy of far away? Although not wearing well with age, there's something about the pure synth beats of the action scenes Gray fights through that warms my heart and burns my blood. Although, there is this one oddly placed J ballad. Seriously, no purpose whatsoever. Brave Story, on the other hand, has some great light J-pop songs and orchestra music to enhance its soundtrack. Sometimes mixing it up with some Celtic influences sliding into Japanese theatrical drumming. So who wins? Ultimately, victory goes to the versatility of the fantasy things. Which movie shines in its art? The distinctive character designs of the future are the lush scenery and action of Vision. It looks like Dezeki spent all his cash on character and equipment design. I love the lean, muscled look of Gray, and the detailed variety to all the folks he encounters. All the equipment and mecha encountered also show distinctive variety according to their town of origin. Mama likes all her children to be memorable. Brave Story's character designs, on the other hand, lack a certain panache. They are so generic and rounded, both for ease of animation and to more easily accommodate psychologically mapping a young mind to the protagonist. Other characters look more interesting, but more because of their own outlandishness than complexity of design. So who wins? If it was up to character designs alone, I'd go ahead and declare Gray the winner. But what Brave Story lacks in character, it more than makes up for in world building and action scenes. The movie submerges you in a world of immense beauty. It's both a fantastic, utterly unreal world, and a living, breathing being that draws you in. Even at its darkest. Now it's time for the weirdo in me. What might touch my soul more? When I watch The Great Death, I can't help but feel a need. The need for action! Sure, part of my recommendation for the movie is rooted in nostalgia, but also because as an action movie it knows how to fire on all cylinders. The plot is never info-dumped on you in place of action, and the quiet moments are necessary reflective time. Yet with all that, you never miss the pulsating need for action! My appreciation for Brave Story goes a bit deeper. That's not only an internalization of the hero's journey, but success lies in the psychological tenets of Taoism. In the final fight, the symbology is anything but subtle. Victory isn't overcoming his base or desiring self, it is acceptance. He doesn't need to defeat Mitsuru. Mitsuru's anger and ambition defeats itself. So which film gives me what I need? What do I need? We need a living passion to believe in, burning hearts and a brand new feeling. Action! If we're gonna make it like a true survivor. Who am I kidding? As I write this, Kung Fury has just been released. I'm intoxicated by 80s action glory. It almost made me push Grey Digital Target ahead on soundtrack too. If it weren't for that misplaced ballad, this would be a very different episode. Hadouken! So with the final tally in, the spry youngster Brave Story edges out my man crush on Grey Digital Target, and moves to fight on in future anime death matches. Now, you may have noticed with the last episode that I've decided to move the video essay portion into its own standalone release. That lets me concentrate more on the single movie and switch gears from strictly thinking in terms of comparison. So let's say sayonara to Grey Digital Target until next week.
Who are you?
My name is Barbariana.